This presentation discusses the effect of the global financial crisis in the Caribbean region. Most Caribbean countries were hardly hit by the global downturn, even harder than the rest of Latin America. In particular, the English-speaking Caribbean countries experienced the strongest downturn, with some countries having a contraction in the order of -8% in 2009. On another side, the non-English Caribbean countries, which is the group composed by the Dominican Republic, Haiti and Suriname, experienced just a mild contraction. The crisis was therefore characterized by a more accentuated V-shape in the English-speaking Caribbean countries than in the rest of Latin America, the world, and even the United States. The effects of the crisis impacted in a reduction of the medium-term growth perspectives for the English-speaking Caribbean countries when we compare them to the pre-crisis outlook, as indicated by the dotted line in this graph. Since the English-speaking Caribbean countries have also been showing a slow recovery over 2010 and 2011, perspectives for the unemployment rate have kept being unfavorable. In our paper, we performed some simulations to illustrate the likely impact on household consumption of this slowdown, and the result is an amplified effect of the crisis at the household level, with a very mild recovery by the current year. In addition, our simulations indicate that, unlike a path of reduction of poverty, had the crisis not occurred, poverty levels have risen and could be at higher levels than before the crisis. But why have the effects of the crisis been so deep in the region that is preventing it from reaching a dynamic recovery as the rest of Latin America? An explanation is provided by the higher linkages of most Caribbean economies with developed nations, especially the United States. And these developed nations were severely affected by the downturn, as opposed to other partners for the rest of Latin America. An illustration of this is provided by the graph showing foreign direct investment flows as percentage of GDP, in which the Caribbean is the highest recipient region in all Latin America. Similarly, the reliance on remittances is very strong in most countries of the region, and to this we must add the high concentration in a few markets, in particular the United States and Europe, of Caribbean exports. Similarly as Caribbean exports, Caribbean tourist receipts are highly concentrated in also very few markets, principally the European Union and the United States. Our hypothesis is then that unlike the rest of Latin America, which was less aligned with the United States and more aligned with other countries in the world, the countries in the Caribbean were more hurt by the crisis because they missed the opportunity of partnering with new growth poles like India and China. The proposed model is therefore one in which we measure the economic cycle of key macroeconomic variables and how they are affected by the economic cycle of the United States, India, China, Brazil, and the United Kingdom. Our model is presented in the following slides and basically just gives us basic elasticities or sensitivities of macroeconomic aggregates to the economic cycle of these countries. Our results indicate that, with the exception of remittances, the English-speaking Caribbean countries are strongly aligned to the economic cycle of the United States, but not with other important growth poles like India and China. On the contrary, the non-English-speaking Caribbean countries have macroeconomic cycles that are more aligned with China, Brazil, and even with India, which might explain why they managed to cope better with the falling global demand. We therefore recommend that the English-speaking Caribbean countries engage in a strategy that fosters diversification of its export market, tourist market, and foreign direct investment flows as a way to cope with future downturns that affect the United States, which is currently its major partner. Thank you very much.